I invite to the stage the moderator of the session, consulting leader, EY. Our panelists are Igor Drozdov, chairman of the executive board, Skolkovo Foundation, Alexander Hanin, CEO, MTS AI, Andrei Kuzyaev, President EA Telecom Holding, and Dmitry Lepelkin, Vice President, Card Products and Services, Gazprom Bank. Mikhail, hello, and the floor is yours.
Colleagues, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here on this panel to have this opportunity to discuss IOB. The Internet of Behavior is a new trend. Some call it the Internet of Bodies. That's a different term for it. So, wearables, all the gadgets that we wear on ourselves. How many of you have something on you? Something that tracks your behavior? 1, 2, yeah, a lot of people. Okay, how many of you are members of some social media groups? Probably all of you, just not all the people here want to raise their hands. Okay, has any one of you walked the city today using any means of transportation that you have to, well, enter and then exit, if you know what I mean? Okay, so you've been captured by CCTV. That makes us users, active or passive users of this fast-growing segment. I'm supposed to have a clicker by my side, somewhere here. Could you please give me some clue as to where it is? Okay. Now, a couple of words about the IOB, because I want to be on the same page with you. IOB means sensors, all the things that we wear inside our body, on our body. Lots of things. These are wearables of all sorts and manners, bracelets, smartwatches, all these things. Smartphones as well, apparently. Exoskeletons, smart glasses, healthcare implants, external environmental sensors, which are keeping close watch over us. They track us. And infrastructure, communication channels, data centers, AI platforms, they process data and they make decisions. Fast decisions and hopefully good decisions. That is what we are going to talk about today, the Internet of Behavior. From a technical standpoint, that's what you have in this market. That's Ernst & Young and EY. That's our work. These are possible cases and potential behind it. I'm not going to give you any formulas behind this, but healthcare, contact tracing, there is a lot of potential to unlock. As for healthcare, I think it's clear. We can have many more implants. These implants can transmit data directly to your doctor, to your hospital, saying what is the status of your health. Geolocation, improving your abilities, like exoskeleton, which helps you to lift heavy things, do heavy lifting. You put up this suit, and you're ready to go. Optimizing processes like queue management, insurance, based on what kind of behavior that we have. It's car insurance, healthcare insurance, anything. Security, remote identification, it's been around for a lot of time in Moscow and other cities of the world. And contact tracing. Contact tracing is one of the trends today because of COVID-19. There is one but. There's a lot of unlocked potential. So there is a lot of potential to unlock. Many Apple users stop all the tracking features themselves. Do you know what social rating is? In China, each and every person has a social score which puts you on a certain position in the society. It's not really proof of any sorts here, but one French TV channel made a poll in China asking Chinese youth about this. And it turned out that the Chinese youth, they don't really mind this score, they like it. And they say, well, they track us anyway, but this way it can be useful. Maybe that's something culturological. Maybe that's all because of the Chinese culture. And in the West, it's going to be all different because we have a different view on data privacy. Maybe that's the new generation. They know that technologies are around us. We have our footprint. We leave footprint every day. Every day we do something, and it is tracked. Now, how to unlock this potential? We need to have data. We need to process data. We need to understand where this data comes from. We need to understand how this data was collected and how we can put it to good use. And who is going to do that? That's another question. Infrastructure. Without infrastructure, this data will be to no use. You will get the data, you will store it, but it won't be useful. And we need to have approval from clients, but that's not always possible. And that leads us to the final part of this slide. In Europe, there is the GDPR. We have our own federal law, number 152. All the data that you get has to be somehow confirmed by the user. I mean, that the user agrees to this data being transferred to you. And we give a lot of data to lots of companies, but we don't always understand whether you can use this data. Like, you get data, but was it approved? Was it confirmed that a person wants to give this data to you? Sometimes we just don't know it. Social media, we post it ourselves. But if someone uses it in a different way that you would like it to be used, you will get disappointed, right? That's what I mean. So there is a lot of data which is gathered against our will and which is used against our will. And that's a huge problem. It's a serious problem. It's serious because this data, well, belongs to people. At least that's what people think. But it's processed and used not by this person, but by companies pursuing their own agendas. Here's what I want to do with you here. I think we should first pull off this from the screen because I want Dmitry to be on screen. Here's what I want to do with our discussion. Let's discuss the first question. What are the new technologies which are around today? What are the new opportunities for us in terms of the infrastructure and technological capabilities? What things work, what things do not work, and which of them will probably work, if not tomorrow, then the day after tomorrow? And what are the restrictions, limits, objectively and objectively? Do people want to share data? Do we want to get this data from them? What is required for the IUB to function to the maximum capacity? Andrei, you first, if you don't mind. You here, you present a convergent operator, you have infrastructure, you invest a lot in these new things, so probably you can give us an interesting angle on this whole thing. Just in broad strokes, what you see in this market? What do you see in this market? Thank you so much. Hi to everyone. And I want to thank Skalkova. This is a very good day, a sunny day, and I hope that it's not for nothing that we are all gathered here. I will do my best to be informative, to be useful, and entertaining in a way. I hope I'll tell you something interesting, and you will probably get acquainted with our company, ER Telecom Holding. The IUB is a buzzword. For us, it's still something new, even though we've been doing this for quite some time. Back in 2012, I, as a venture capitalist, started investing in projects. One of them was called Hill Bay. That was a project based on a smart bracelet produced locally in Russia. All the designers were Russian, engineers were Russian, and it's been 9 years since then. We've been trying to push through to the global markets with these bracelets. We have now our third version of it rolled out. So I know what it is to create and establish something which combines hardware and software, something that tracks you and processes your data. So I know how many problems you encounter in this way. There are some things which I want to talk with you about, putting a spotlight on my own experience of investing into a Russian startup which now 100% successful. What I mean by that is that it sells a lot in many countries, 10 countries of the world. Most of the sales are in Japan and the United States. A couple of words about the transformation that we are undergoing. Not just we, each and every company, production facility, manufacturing site that wants to one day to be a successful story, not a loser. By that I mean the transformation which has to do with being client-centric. Means that you focus all your efforts and time on people, on your consumers, so that the customer journey would be as smooth as possible. You need to know all the pain points, and you need to cater to the expectations of your clients. You want to help people to get a grip on where they are and where they want to be in the future. This combination of words, the IOB, the Internet of Behaviour, means that all the changes which are happening in the world are becoming increasingly human-centric, community-centric. So, ER Telecom, we have been studying carefully the situation in the market. We've been doing a lot of feedback, processing, and you know what? Lots of times it turns out that we fail as good companies towards our clients. We don't know our clients. At one of the forums in Barcelona, I heard someone speaking. It was the new CEO of Vodafone, and he said, it's no secret to anyone that telecom companies are treated worse than tobacco companies. And that is because we don't know our clients. Sometimes we don't love our clients. That's a problem. That's a real problem. Economists, companies, experts which emerged prior to client-centric approach, how can they transit to this new world when we are human-centric, where people have so many opportunities to choose from? Probably you all know that you need to rearrange your company in such a way as to speak to the values that you want to demonstrate. Of course, you want to deliver on your promises. Of course, you want your business processes to be user-friendly, friendly to people that you're going to work with and work for. Of course, you want to run a company in such a way as to help everyone make good decisions and follow all the business practices without violating anything. All that to cater to the needs of your clients. It's easy to say, but it's hard to do all that because we have dozens, thousands of people, thousands of business processes, and you all use call centers, right? You call to call centers of a telecom company and you know the problem. Hi, I don't have internet connection. Can you help? If you don't have internet connection, please reboot your router. That's it. Hang up on you. You reboot it. You call again. Hi, I don't have internet. Reboot your router. I did that. Then we will transfer you to our second line. You wait for 15 minutes, listening to ads on what kind of all the great things you have and what things you can get from this company. In 15 minutes, they say, yes, listening, I don't have internet. Reboot your router, they say again. You know the story, right? Our companies are full of, wells, deep, deep wells. And there are people who think that they are super cool at what they do, but they do just a fraction of the work. They don't understand the journey. They don't understand all the pains which our client has to go through. There is another problem too. In the post-COVID world, or in the COVID world, when the COVID was hitting us hard, our company decided to give our clients a bonus. All those who had less than 1 megabit per second of internet speed, we gave them that speed, 100 megabits per second. We gave them all of that. And we also gave them for free access to our multimedia sources. So our resources were given all for free. And you know what happened? I thought that was the right move to do. I wanted to address our clients and tell them, we are doing this for you. And I forgot to say that I was in the oil business prior to that, and only recently I became a digital entrepreneur. 5 years ago, I switched roles. I wanted to address our clients. And you know what happened? Telecom companies, and by the way, this applies to banks as well. You have only 20 to 30% of your clients. All the rest are outdated. You can't say anything to your clients. If you want to communicate with your clients, it's really hard for you, because your clients want to work with you and listen to you only when they have a problem and they want this problem to be solved. IOB can be a game changer. It helps you to get into direct interaction with your client, not when your client calls you up. No, you can act on the information which you get from your clients. You know all the pain and all the joy of your clients, and you help to maximize their user experience. You improve your products. That's the kind of process that has no end. There's no destination. It's one journey. So we should be client-centric. Our economy is evolving, not our digital economy. Overall, the economy is changing. Digital technologies are just instruments which we can leverage in order to be more human-centric in our work. Now, the bracelet. I mentioned previously. Just a couple of words about it. In a nutshell, IOB can be a good source of new technologies, a good way to communicate with your clients. That's the new frontier. And that's the new challenge. And I believe that we will all have to modernize our companies. Telecom companies will have to undergo lots of changes. We should focus not on technologies, but on clients. We need to communicate with them, interact with them. Many of you know that sometimes you're driving somewhere, you have one of the best telecom operators, but you don't have connection at some point. The line breaks when you're talking to someone. Or your children do video calls and your internet goes off. Or you're moderating a webinar with all the 10,000 people and your internet goes up in flames. There is no internet. I think companies should compensate for that, should compensate for the problems they cause to their clients. That's IOB. That's culture. Now, bracelets. Sensors. I think we've had a poll right now. Yeah, I was told that it's time. Yeah, I'm wrapping this up. Just one thing about sensors. Please, tell me. You probably all have a car, right? You're all drivers, most of you. You're driving your car. Do you look at the dashboard or you look at the road? Yes, we look at the dashboard from time to time. We are like machines ourselves. We are bio-machines. Why don't we look at our own dashboard every day? Why? Why don't we collect information about ourselves? Why do we allow disease to get the best of us? Why do we allow our body to break down? Why do we neglect our own body so much as we have to undergo surgery? So take care of yourself. Use all the technologies that we have now to take better care of yourself. Get the information. Use the information. Prevent the disease. Because when you are ill, that's too late.
Чуть-чуть меняя тему разговора, сейчас очень
To change slightly the topic of our conversation, we've started to talk about client experience and client journey. Alexander, the question is to you, since you're the head of MTS AI, from the technological point of view, what can help us to achieve the result that we're discussing here? First of all, I would like to agree with my fellow panelists and say that first, we should start with our client experience. IOB is a means, not an end. It helps us to make our clients happier and increase lifetime value. I suggest we take a more holistic look. For example, today everyone is talking about wearables, about, I don't know, AR glasses, trackers, smart watches, and even smartphones are equipped with a great many sensors which help us to track human activities. There are lots of static sensors as well. I am referring to CCTV and other sensors. And when you add it all up together and throw the data into one huge melting point, you get a lot of data. In Moscow, we have a lot of CCTVs. In China, they have even more. Combining them with data from wearables, you will increase accuracy and you will false positives. You'll rule out false positives. So I think the true breakthrough lies not in continuously improving one single technology, but in the skill to combine various technologies. And maybe you can share an example with us that illustrates what you are saying right now. Yes, I can. For example, when I was a postgrad, I wrote a thesis on unmanned cars, and I looked into how you can use various sensors. And I remember how hard it was to help a car navigate, especially in some extreme conditions. And in a couple of years, I stumbled upon one of the approaches that found a very original solution to this problem, because normally you'll have an unmanned car with lidars and accelerometers, and that is all nice, but what they did is that combined it with data from CCTV. As a result, they achieved almost a zero accident rate. So what I suggest doing is take a more holistic approach and combine things. Also, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that today we do not actually have any leading companies that produce neurochips, a kind of chips that would compute in any device. Today, all of that is down in the cloud, not in real time, and that impacts client experience too. So we should wait for a breakthrough in neural processing units. Now we have such startups. For example, we recently invested into a Taiwanese company who generates performance of a powerful GPU with a very low energy consumption of zero point 0.5 watts. And that enables you to process all of the data in real time, which helps you to cater to the needs of your clients, because real time is always better than waiting for things. Also, it helps you to deal with regulations. We cannot forget about Federal Law 52 or GDPR. In Europe, it is illegal to transmit data which is personalized. Before you do that, you should unpersonalize the data. And when you offer a solution which protects the data, that will reassure the client that it is a safe and reliable solution. Thank you, Alexander. Once again, your comment shows how important it is to take a holistic approach. Speaking about client experience, and when we speak about B2C, probably telecom companies are the ones who have the most data. Whether it is right to use it or not, that is a separate question. But these are not only telecom companies, but also banks who have a lot of data. And I would like now to turn to Dmitry. Dmitry, could you please tell us how IOB can be used in banking? Hello, everyone. I hope that you can hear me well. What a wonderful weather are you having? And I would like to thank you for having me. We as bankers, of course, we have information because clients provide us data. Some of them do so of their own accord, consciously. Some do so because they use our services. We believe that this additional data that is generated through IOB can be used. Banks, for example, they want to understand more about their client. It is true not only for banks, but for other companies who seek to sell something to their clients. So first thing that we would like to do with this additional information is to figure out what particular services are of interest to our clients at that particular moment in time. It is true that people seek to solve particular tasks. They do not need the internet per se, but they need internet to host a webinar or for their children online classes. So as soon as we understand what product in particular we should offer to our clients, it will make things easier for us and we'll make more money. So anything that helps us to specify information that we get for our client, to specify the tasks, is something that we are looking into. Not every bit of information that we have, that we see, we can legally use for marketing purposes, for example, and this data stays with us and it dies with us. We know it, but we cannot actually use it. Ladies and gentlemen, do you hear Dmitry well? Because we seem to have an echo. I'm sorry, Dmitry. Please do continue. I didn't hear the answer. I do hope that the answer was that you can hear me loud and clear, so I will continue. So let me wrap up the first segment of my answer. What we are looking for is this opportunity to fine-tune our offers to our clients. And as a user of banking services, of course, I want to see services that are more comfortable, that are more user-friendly. Of course, we all seek a safe solution, a secure solution for our personal data. As a bank, of course, we care deeply for our clients' personal data. And that is proven through the fact that our average bill is higher than in other banks. We want to live up to the expectations. We want to live up to the trust of our clients. Let me draw an example. For example, if you purchase something on a regular basis using one internet provider, if you do that regularly, then why do we need to ask you to give us some data at this particular moment of time if you do that regularly? That is not the Internet of Behavior per se, but that is still predicting our client's behavior. And if we know that this is a regular purchase, we will be more ready to authorize a transaction than if it is a one-time purchase. Also, we are looking to provide our clients with a service that would predict their activities and their actions while at the same time being safe. That, I believe, will have an enormous potential in boosting loyalty. I do hope that you're able to hear me loud and clear. Thank you, Dmitry. It seems like echo is something that only we heard because we have several speakers here. And we hear you from both the ones that we have here on stage and from the ones that are behind the rows of the audience. It is true that technologies are closely tied to the Internet of Behavior. And as far as the big data processing is concerned, it seems like a very promising technology. Igor, maybe you will take a more general look at how we can implement these technologies. Well, you know, that is always pretty difficult to sum up the discussion. Let me share my point of view. To me, it is obvious that personalized services is a trend that we see today. Before, the client never thought that a particular service can be customized. Today, modern technologies allow you to do that. And that is a huge leap forward. Let me take a slightly different perspective. Virtually, today we were speaking about customizing services, but customizing should never turn into discrimination. Today we looked at some examples that we can have a discussion about from the ethical point of view, such as targeted ads or providing services that a client needs based on their personal data. And you on your slide had such sectors as security and insurance. In my opinion, that is a pretty slippery road. You talked, for example, about social scoring, something that we see in China. If we talk about insurance, for example, car insurance, that it is all about interpreting data, because at the end of the day, we need to answer the question what is good and what is bad, whether this particular driver drives recklessly or not, and what helps us to, to make the judgment whether what is reckless and what is not reckless. Is my head bad or good, and should my health insurance be more expensive or should it be cheaper? And that is something that we see in social scoring. What is the right type of behavior that we should praise and for which we should earmark more scores, and what is wrong?
я бы не говорил уверенно о том, что
In my opinion, I don't think we should be so confident that we are now at the necessary level of understanding the algorithm and the technologies that we use to determine what is good and what is bad. And I wonder whether it is possible to apply such concepts in our practical activities. I remember Cesare Lombroso, a psychiatrist of 19th century, and he was one of the founding fathers of criminology. According to his theory, a person with a certain set of characteristics was prone to becoming a criminal.
это человек, который
He also thought that a genius is a frequent traveler. He frequently changes his occupation. He uses drugs and drinks way too much.
мы в каком-то виде сейчас видим рынок.
And to my mind, these theories of his are now being revived and reincarnated, if you will, in our current attitude towards technologies. So when in the future we'll be working on regulations, we should remember about that. Our technologies should be human-centric, but they should not be discriminated against certain groups of people. Thank you, Igor. That is a very important topic that I also wanted to discuss in those few minutes that we have left.
Ламброса, у нас есть и более
You've mentioned Cesare Lombroso, and we have a more frequent example
американской практики, да, где
from the US, coming from the US, where the artificial intelligence was used by a bank to rank the clients when giving out loans.
так или иначе дискриминировал против.
And of course, this artificial intelligence was biased against a certain racial minority. Of course, it was using some statistical data, and to some extent, these statistics may be objective, but you should be discrimination averse, and you should always double check your stats. You cannot rely only on stats when you see a concrete person in front of you and you are working with a particular client who is looking to open a bank account or to take out a loan. So the question is, how do we interpret the data that we have? How do we use it? Do we use this data for the exact purpose that you collect it for? If you remember, a couple of years ago, there was a scandal with a fitness tracker. Strava was the name of it. They actually uploaded to the internet the stats of how people worked out in a very particular place, and that was the area where American troops were deployed, and they shouldn't have been deployed there. And so through this simple fitness tracker, they basically leaked the information which is of state importance. So all of these tracking things and parents receiving ads of the products that they were receiving because their daughter was pregnant. That is not the right way to use the data. This is the data which was not legitimately obtained. So, gentlemen, if you have something to say about some difficulties that we might have because of the Internet of Behaviour, and how we, users who will provide data, will we
Я опять же из практики могу сказать, что
be willing to do so?
проблема количества данных, она уже
There is a problem with the amount of data,
на моей нити.
some say. But it's not true. We have so much data around.
Данным
The problem we have is to store and process that data.
действительно безумно дорого стоит.
It is very expensive to do data mapping.
И люди
You have to find people for that. Only people can do that. Only people can verify,
это черное.
annotate data saying this is black and this is white,
В этом
this is this and this is that.
тоже очень часто у них
People
ошибки
make mistakes. The margin of error can be huge. How do you guarantee that the data assessed by the people was given to them for good use?
в открытом пространстве информационном.
Because sometimes you can just get data from open sources, you don't know whether it was consensual or not. People who work with data for a long time, they know
нужны там для,
what data
то есть для
they need and where to get it, depending on the user case or
исследований в сфере
concrete application. We have a lot of AI research today, how we can use noisy data.
и пока никто нормально не
And no one so far knows how to use noisy data. We don't know how to give reliable,
для стартапов
workable solution which would work with noisy data.
действительно
If
большая
someone does that, that will be a breakthrough.
проблема.
That's problem number one. Problem number two,
Сейчас бум искусственного интеллекта,
the AI as technology is booming. Any student
модель.
in a week
Из интернета.
can train a model, an AI model.
Если мы говорим там про этичность и про ожидания
Now, there is the issue of ethics and results. You need to have the right knowledge in your head
обучающих данных, ты берешь
because you need to be very careful with the data.
расовые
You've given some
смещения
examples like racial bias.
за подготовки
That's because of the data. So the data set was
работать по-другому.
not the right
Здесь
fit for this.
сейчас очень сильно влияет
Human error, again, it has a lot of impact.
и про
You need to prepare the data. You need to be very, very careful. So that's one of the biggest problems today. A lot depends on this.
Большой Александр.
Okay, Alexander, thank you. Dmitry, my question for you. In the field of banking, I believe you have lots of data. And much of this data you get not directly, like where your clients go to, where they travel to, and probably not all your clients want to share this data.
Вот вы все
So the assumption I can make is that,
вопросом. То есть
well, you face this delicate issue of whether you can use it or not, because you want to use data, put it to some very good use to your benefit, but you don't want to violate policies and privacy. The information that we get, it's something we get consensually. If we get something from a vendor, it's only if that vendor got that clearance from their clients. If you use some concierge service, you transmit your data, and that data ends up in a bank. It's a trade-off. You share your information, and as a trade-off, you get something in return. You get some good quality service, for instance. As for the quality of data, it's not really a problem for us. Yes, that's true that many pieces of data that we get are quite specific. We need to use it because that's good for us. But it's up to the client whether to agree or not agree to something. But if you agree to giving your data to the bank, you'll get an uptick in the quality of the services rendered. So if you want something to be done faster, you have to share your data. And I believe if you can offer a better service to your client, that is a good way to get the data. You don't need to impose anything. You don't need to try to talk your client into sharing your data. No, just show your client what kind of benefits they can get from sharing their data, and that will be it. You can make profit from your data, but it's not our goal. Understand that at this point, we need to establish good relations with our clients regarding data and its use. So the only thing that we do is that we work on a consensual basis only.
Дмитрий, спасибо большое.
Okay, Dmitry, thank you.
Тогда, может быть, Андрею Кузяеву.
A question for Andrei.
Вы располагаете огромным количеством данных,
You have lots of data on your hands. Calls, websites,
которые
DPI,
по геолокации в случае
geolocation,
приложения.
lots of things.
Хочется, да, ведь есть же всегда соблазн, что ты ему
And there is that temptation to offer to your clients something they may want,
искал в интернете. Но в то же самое время
because you know what they are looking for, right?
не сработало,
You know what they want.
вы еще и за мной
But
следите.
if you do that, you can violate their privacy, right? And they will be disappointed, not satisfied at all. This discussion has been going on for years. There is technological development, and there is a number of ways to make our lives better. But this progress, these new technological advances, come at a cost of new risks. That's life. Oftentimes I hear that there are people who say risks are too high, let's not do that. But the idea is to manage the risks. It's like in that joke, you know, if you're afraid of wolves, don't go into the forest. Don't be afraid. Do we need AI? Do we need big data? Yes, we do. We need to improve the quality of life. We need to change the lives of millions of people so that they would have a high quality of life. That can be done with the help of AI. Now, some say that state regulation of AI and similar technologies is the way to do it. Recently, we've had a lot of criticism going our way. We've seen a lot of regulators imposing some new laws and rules on us. The internet is being regulated in some sense. And sometimes these watchdogs, they don't listen. They don't hear what we want to say to them. We started in the early 2000s. We, as private entrepreneurs, started working on broadband access services. And now then the government has realized the potential and the use. They are putting too much strain on us. That's regulatory pressure, which is weighting on our shoulders. And they do that without listening to the community. I say we need to be more liberated. We need to be free when it comes to new technologies and our development. We should do more self-regulation. We need to work out new cultural and ethical norms and rules. We have a lot of information in our hands. And that means that we need to be responsible and accountable, because our clients, they trust us, they believe in us. So we need to work out new values, new cultural values, because we are entering the new era, the era of the digital technologies. So I call upon everyone involved, all the stakeholders. Let's unite. Let's search for answers to all these questions together. State regulation should be taking place, but this regulation should be more of a partnership, public-private partnership. It should not be a one-way road. Thank you.
Спасибо большое. Я считаю, что это
Okay, thank you.
отличный заключительный
That's a good wrap-up to our conversation. And what we can say now, the IOB is here and it's going to stay. It will be growing, improving. There's a lot of potential. Predictive analytics and the IOB are the two areas which are going to collide and
помогать нам.
give birth to lots of new solutions. These things will make our lives better. Now, going full circle, coming back to the criminal sciences and the use of data and privacy, I can tell you that there will be bottlenecks. Some delicate issues will be there. We'll have to find a way to solve these problems together. Now, thank you very much. I hope it's been interesting for you, because for me, it's been immensely interesting. Thank you.
температурах окружающей среды тела быстро теряют энергию. Но нахождение вблизи источника тепла позволяет телу получать тепловое излучение. Происходит самопроизвольное перераспределение тепла. Следовательно, когда источники тепла находятся вместе, их энергия побеждает холод. Лучшее создается вместе. Газпромбанк.
МТС Стартап Хаб. Работа с реальным бизнес-заказчиком МТС. Доступ к ресурсам самого крупного телеком-бренда в России. Не можешь поверить? А в твой стартап обязательно поверят. У нас есть все, что тебе понадобится. Ресурсы, клиенты, технологии, каналы продаж. Мы оценим твой продукт, правильно применим в своем бизнесе и масштабируем на мировой рынок. МТС Стартап Хаб ждет тебя и твоих нереальных бизнес-идей.